High Fidelity in San Francisco, and I'm a VR content developer. High Fidelity is a shared VR experience. We're an open source C++ engine built from the ground up that's all scripted in JavaScript. You can do basically whatever you want, and you can learn, you can create music and art. We have a dance club every Friday. It's an open source shared experience that you can hop into VR and be close from a distance. Before I started here and went to full stack, I worked in the music industry for over 10 years. In my last role I had, which was more of a production operations manager role, I was getting involved in automation to help our workflow out, and that involved learning more about programming. And when I started seeing what full stack was doing, I realized that I could take what I was doing here and really extend out with it. And as soon as I started seeing how the industry was changing, the world was changing, I felt like it was the perfect time and place for that. When I was a fellow at Full Stack finishing up, we started getting into VR, and that was one of the things that made me realize that this is the area I really wanted to focus in, not so much web development, but really exploring kind of this new territory, and it was really brand new at the time. I was able to work with a lot of different developers and helping troubleshoot the projects they were working on, and working on all kinds of different technologies, and that's very similar to what my role was when I first started at High Fidelity as an integrations engineer. Integration engineer, the main way to think about that is how do we bring in code from other sources that works within our system. So I want to bring in an API in, I want to bring in a feature from another freelancer. You can work on it here, you can work on it there, but how do we bring it to work cohesively here? And what are the things around that? What are the documentation involved around that? What are what's the technical debt involved in that? What's the scoping? What's the planning look like to how can we complete this? An integration engineer works in different variations of all that. I was able to work with who knows how many developers around the world, especially being new into the software development field in general, and this being my first position. It was so great to be able to have that kind of mentorship from so many different people. Even though I'm not writing code myself 100% of the time, I'm still reviewing tons and tons of code. I got to explore, I always wanted to pick up C++ and never had a real reason to do that. We have an open source engine built from the ground up with C++. We all come from worlds where we have so much experience. I had over 15, 20 years of professional experience in so many different aspects. Here's the thing that I did in this one video job 8 years ago that directly relates to this, that if I was just a software developer for 20 years, I would have never thought that way. Things that I took directly from the full stack program into my current position, I mean, JavaScript hands down. I almost have an advantage because of how well, I knew JavaScript coming in. I got really lucky that all our scripting is done in JavaScript for our VR content. And by the way, check out highfidelity.com. If you are a JavaScript person, it's a wonderful chance to work in 3D and VR. Having to learn so many things fast in a short period of time, those kind of skills definitely translated when I went to my job. There's new things that happen all the time, and full stack was great for that. I love solving problems. I love the challenge and being frustrated and wanting to poke my eyes out because I'm looking at the same thing over and over again. And the moment you get when it works is the most awesome thing, and you get to have that moment over and over and over again. It's never the same thing twice, and that's the kind of thing that I needed personally, because I always need kind of new things inputted into like my brain and my psyche, and software development